ramblers, and its diverse landscape has so much to offer the outdoor enthusiast. Recently, the Curraghmore's Wild Festival took place in these here mountains. There was a varied and an interesting programme of events, lots of walks, campouts, storytelling and so much more. And Helen McInerney came here during the festival to see the Mahon Falls from a slightly different perspective.
Watching this adventurous group of people prepare to climb the Curragh Mountains and abseil down Mahon Falls, you'd have no idea any of them were at all apprehensive. But for some, it was a fear of heights that motivated their decision to take on the challenge.
You're a fit-looking man. Do you do a lot of climbing?
No, I do a bit of running, that's it.
You've never been up before?
No.
So, how are you feeling?
Good, happy, nervous.
You're fit?
Thanks.
Are you
not
fit?
Too bad yourself, girl.
All joking aside, abseiling down Mahon Falls is not for the faint-hearted.
You're not at all nervous?
Apprehensive, not nervous. No, it'll be good fun. I've climbed it a couple of times, so I know what it's like to climb it. I come back down, but I do want to come down through the river. So.
And you've never come down through the falls before?
No. You're not supposed to do that when you're on your own.
Well, I can't swim. And I'm scared of heights, so this is a good start. So we have life jackets, so it'll be okay.
And why are you doing it?
Oh, for the fun, to see how scared we can make ourselves.
The instructors at Ardmore Adventures say life is an adventure, so live it. And they provide a wide range of adventure activities in Waterford, East Cork and further afield. One of their aims is to help everybody access the unspoilt beauty of the great outdoors.
We run from total beginners from 8 years of age upwards. Now for the canyoning itself it's 16 years of age upwards, but the majority of all the activities is 8 years of age upwards, and we've kayaking, surfing, rock climbing, archery, hill walking, coast steering. We've a huge range of activities. The amenities in the country are free, they're on your doorstep, unless you can just get out there and do it, there's nothing stopping you. We say life's an adventure, so live it.
Waterford County Council say they're actively working with groups in the rural communities to improve amenities and services so that local people can benefit from increased tourist activity, including activity tourism in the area.
Well, the immediate spin-off is obviously local jobs, really. For years, these mountains would have provided economic opportunity via tourism to the main towns in the area, like Dungarvan, Waterford, Clonmel. A lot of people would have stayed in accommodation there. But what we hope, that bit by bit, people will see that there's local value here and develop local services within the community, like mountain guiding services, restaurants and accommodation, and actually help support people within places like Ballymacarbery, Rathgormack, Kilrossenty, and the pubs gain at night time, the restaurants gain at night time. So it's all that combined local gain that we want to emphasise.
The organisers of the Curraghmore's Wild Festival used walks, talks and storytelling to bring people out into the wonderful landscape.
I'm from Germany, I'm German, and I live in Dungarvan, I work in Dungarvan. And like at home I used to go to the mountains, climbing, walking, hiking, and this is just the best place for me, local, close to Dungarvan, to do exactly the same. Come to great places like the Mahon Falls and the Cumsegone Lake and other places.
I think the landscape here is spectacular. You could compare it to anywhere else, I think.
But you won't be jumping into an icy cold pool anytime soon?
No, I will not. That I will not be doing.
After 4 hours climbing and abseiling down 4 different waterfalls, the group were happy but exhausted.
I enjoyed it. Now, some of the lads are a bit nervous, but no, I loved it.
Was it what you expected? Worse? Easier?
Better than what I expected anyway. A lot better.
You're still smiling, David.
Yeah, I am, kind of.
Was that hard going?
The first one I thought was hard. The second one was harder, and that was the easiest one. It's height. It's working on my fear of heights anyway.
Will you do it again?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Brilliant fun. Highlight of my week, definitely.
James, what was that like?
That was lovely. It was great fun altogether.
No bother to you?
I know, it was just fun. It was lovely. Yeah.
And did you find it cold, scary?
No, because they had 2 ropes. So a safety rope and an ordinary rope. And you just go one step at a time.
It was wet and wild and fairly good fun.
Worse or better than what you thought?
No, it was great. It was great to see what we were brave enough to do.
A few people conquered their fears anyway. There was one person in particular came here to get over his fear of heights, and he definitely achieved it. So they threw themselves into it once or twice, literally, with the jump at the start. We came down 4 different waterfalls. There's 2 more which we'd love to do, but technically they're not for beginners. So you've got the guts of 250 metres of waterfalls here, and you've got a cracking view like that off into the distance. You can't get much better location.
But if you haven't a head for heights, just down the road from Mahon Falls is Crew Wood near Mahon Bridge.
Well, fair play to those adventurers. I tell you, they've got great heart. It wouldn't be for me. I am very pleased to be here on terra firma with my feet on the ground and in the company of Sean Murphy. Sean, you are really of these parts, of the walks. There's a new one that you want to tell us about.
Oh yeah, there's a new walk here now from the Crew Wood, and it takes us all the ways from Mahon Bridge to the Mahon Falls. And it means you'll be able to walk a 5-kilometre walk without getting onto the roadway.
It's gorgeous. Is it true that this used to be called the Ladies' Walk, this bit we're on now?
Oh yeah, well see, this piece we're on now is belonging to the Palliser family, and the Palliser family developed all this area here for pleasure walks for the ladies. And the ladies,
now they were the landlords, weren't they?
They were the landlords, yes. And the ladies used to have picnics in the Wild Glen, you know.
Oh, very
and they'd
nice.
invite all their friends like Lord Waterford and Curraghmore and all those. They'd all come and have picnics with the ladies here in the Wild Glen. But this glen here is interesting because, as I say, it belonged to the Palliser family. And John Palliser was a famous explorer who explored all Canada. And it's reputed that he brought back a tree from every land and planted it here on the banks of the River Mahon.
So that's something else to look out for when you're on this walk.
When you're on the walk, you should watch out for all the different trees that are here.
You know, you're a very busy man, because I'm also remembering the time when you were working on the hydroelectric system on...
Oh yes, well I was involved with another group, and we built a hydroelectric scheme. We built a weir up near the Mahon Falls,
yeah,
and a pipeline, and it's all underground, so you can't see anything. It's underground.
And what stage is that at?
It's completed. It's up and running now at the moment. Actually, you could nearly hear it generating at the moment, but it generates up to 1 megawatt of electricity, which is the equivalent of say 1,000 houses of domestic houses.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's all just
it's all just there.
It's carbon neutral, as
exactly,
they say. Yes,
yeah, which is brilliant. And can I ask you just before we finish about your own health, because a lot of people will say, I know him, and they'll have seen you on the Late Late Show.
Well, between them, my next guests are one family that have received 6 kidneys and donated 2. Indeed, last
When you were talking about kidney transplants.
Yeah, well, we were on with Ryan Tubridy for a kidney donor, because I myself, I'm a kidney recipient. And my daughter got a kidney transplant, and my 2 sons have kidney transplants. And my daughter, when she got the kidney transplant, she had a baby afterwards.
Oh,
so she's doing very well now at the moment. The baby is doing well, of course, as well. So I mean, our story, while I suppose some people would think was difficult, it's been very satisfactory, and everything has worked out well, and we're all good and well.
All in good health.
Yeah.
And all enjoying this absolutely magnificent countryside in the Comoros. But come here, it's all very fine talking about a walk. We better just walk
let's
the
go.
walk as well.
Walk the walk,
because
yes.
it's all very fine just...
and talk the talk as well.
Talk the talk, yeah. We're going to take a break now, but don't go away, because when we come back we'll be heading down from the mountains into the picturesque village of Portlaw, and we will also be going to Curraghmore House, the home of Lord Waterford. We'll talk to you again in a couple of minutes. Tá fáilte roimh ar ais chuig chundé Fortlaw. Well, we've come now to Curraghmore House. It's on the outskirts of the village of Portlaw, and Portlaw kind of skirts the Curraghmore Mountains. This is an amazing estate. It comprises 2,500 acres of beautiful gardens and also of lovely woodland. Another nice place to come for a walk if you're in these parts. Curraghmore House is the home of the 9th Marquess of Waterford. Now, he inherited the title when his father died last February. He lives here with his family, and I'm going to go now and have a little chat with him. Lord Waterford, it's very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Mary.
And on a lovely sunny day.
Yes.
Yeah, what
beautiful
an amazing place.
Yeah, we're very lucky to live here. And
How long has your family been here at Curraghmore House?
Well, the Paws came here in about 1170, and they first of all built a keep or a castle here, and since 1170 really.
Now, your family name is Beresford, so when did the two families come together?
In 1700s, the estate was left to the only time it came down to an heiress, and Catherine Parr married Marcus Beresford, and their first son was the first Marquess of Waterford.
And your family has been here ever since then?
Yes, there's only been two families ever here at Curraghmore, the Paws and the Beresfords.
You've recently taken over the title of the 9th Marquess of Waterford on the death of your father in February last. Does that give you a sense of responsibility?
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to feel responsible. I'd try and keep Curraghmore going as it is and not having to sell any bits off, and basically just a custodian till I hand it over to my son. So, but at the same time, it's a great place to live and enjoy that.
Well, I'm looking at the main house here behind you, and it certainly looks like a great place to live, but I'd say there's a lot of maintenance and it's expensive to keep it going.
Yeah, there's a lot of maintenance to keep the old buildings going, but that's just one of the few problems we've got to deal with, and you know, we're trying to do that.
There's an awful lot of windows there as well to keep cleaning.
Yeah, a lot of cleaning, yes.
I can imagine, but it is magnificent, particularly against the blue sky. When people come here to visit Curraghmore, what are the highlights? What are the must-sees?
Well, come here, the must-see really is the shell house, and that's special to have a look at it. Hopefully you'll see it in a minute. And just the trees and the gardens, it's fantastic.
Yeah, you've got a great display of plants and trees, and then colour in the gardens, which is lovely.
Yeah, no, they're very well, they're laid out years ago, and it's enjoyable. It's quiet too. After you then, Mary.
Well, you're right. It is pretty impressive. The shells. So many shells. What's the story of the house?
The amazing thing about it is it was built in 1754 by this lady here. She was the Countess of Tyrone, Catherine Parr of the day. She married Marcus Beresford.
And that's when the two families came together.
And she, as well as she had 13 children, 9 survived.
Goodness, and she had time to do this?
She had time to do this. She's meant to have done it in 260 days, so...
Less than a year?
Yeah.
Goodness, and it stood the test of time.
It's still there, and those shells, whatever bull's blood and some cement or something, to stick the shells up, and it's still here.
I'd imagine visitors are pretty impressed by this.
They are, yeah, no, it is amazing to see it the first time.
It's nice to have that reaction from people, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's very satisfying for you living here.
Absolutely. You enjoy people coming here and enjoying the place, and that's, definitely.
Eight months as Marquess, and you've brought a lot of energy and a lot of activity to this estate. I presume you've got plans to continue in the same vein.
I think so, definitely. We had, Mary Black and the Bluebell Festival, and we had a Pride and Prejudice play. Even though we had a mud run here as well, so has been a lot going on.
So you're going to be busy for the next few years.
We're going to be busy, yeah, but it's good to get up, and we're enjoying it very much.
Basil Cruiser, you are the tour guide here at Curraghmore House. I would imagine that's a pretty dream job.
It is. For me, it's a very special job. It's interesting because where I come from, we don't have places like this in South Africa. So to come and work at a place like this was really something very, very special.
Do you get a lovely sense of history here?
I do, you know, Mary. The same family have lived in here for about 800 years. And you can imagine all the stories that go on. The aristocracy tend to be a little bit eccentric, some of them anyway. And it's a magic place to live.
So you've got lovely stories to tell people when they come in on tours.
People are very curious about them, how the other half live, you know. So this is of great interest to them. And one of the things which people are amazed about is that they are allowed into the house. This is somebody's home.
Are you envisaging lots more tours happening in the years to come now?
I hope so. The new Marquis, 9th Marquis of Waterford, is a businessman. He realises that this place has got to pay for itself.
Tours will be, I suppose, a highlight of life here at Curraghmore, and it's nice, isn't it, to kind of share the house with
Absolutely, yeah. The new
community.
Marquis is very much in favour of sharing and getting people involved here. So, and what he did was appoint a local gentleman here, a fellow by the name of Alan Walsh, to be the events coordinator. And since Alan's involvement here, these things have begun to happen. So it's now taking off. And I think the future looks very, very bright for Curraghmore.
Just outside the walls of Curraghmore is the charming village of Portlaw, which was once the location for a thriving cotton mill, which actually employed most of the people in the area. In fact, the village was built to house those working in the mill. Now, in recent times, there have been efforts to highlight the heritage of Portlaw, and Ger Crotty, you're one of the people involved in doing that. So tell us first of all about the village. It's got a fairly unusual layout.
Yeah. This was the second phase of building for workers. Originally in 1825 there was two rows of streets, and they would have been very much the traditional size stone and thatch. In the 1850s the Malcolmsons, who were Quakers, recognised that they needed to up the standard of the housing, and that was part of their ethos as well. So it's actually laid out like a hand, residential on the fingers, commercial in the middle, and the centre of our world was the cotton mill.
Which actually gives a very nice sense of community, doesn't it, to the layout of the village?
Yeah, and look, that community has survived right through into the 20th century as well, and now into the 21st, because the cotton mill was our business in the 19th century. In the 20th century we had a tannery from 1935 to 1985. And the one thing has always been strong here is that sense of community.
So the mill, and in fact the Malcolmson family, who were the people who started the mill, they really were essential to the development of Portlaw.
Well, they were, because to all intents and purposes this was a greenfield site. And what they brought, and it's part of what we do in the Heritage Centre, they brought the whole aspect of, there was the industrial, there was also the built heritage. You had these worker houses. And as well as that, you had a social side of it, because with the Quaker ethos, they really did work around how workers were looked after. So in the 1830s, we had worker insurance here. We had a Tontine Club, which was basically a temperance society. And the worker could pay in money every week. And they had a form of worker insurance in the 1830s, which is quite unique in this whole area and in the whole of the country.
It's great to have a heritage centre, isn't it?
Yeah, the Heritage group got together about 10 years ago and recognised that we have this unique history, this industrial heritage. Portlaw would have been one of the largest industrial model villages in the whole of the island, and indeed many other initiatives in the UK, even in Britain, would be modelled on what the Malcolmsons did here. So people got together and decided we need to, even if some of the heritage is gone, we at least preserve the memory of what was there and provide a focus for education and talks and just gathering artefacts together.
So have you got plans now for expansion and celebration?
We're 10 years old now as a committee next year. The Heritage Centre is really the focal point for us. We're looking at developing on the next level. How do we get ourselves to a heritage town status, get that recognition? We look around and we see places like Lismore and all the places, they're fantastic. So we have a different heritage. We're equally important, we would see, this industrial heritage, especially in the south of Ireland, because industry wasn't on the scale that you would have seen in Britain and in the northeast of the island.
Because it was a thriving hub, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. At the peak, we had somewhere in the region of 4,500 people living in the village. Every day, as I say, converging off these streets, you would have had 1,600 people
heading to the mill.
Heading down to the mill.
So are you optimistic about achieving heritage status for the village?
We believe so. We're promoting more and more the village. We're using every opportunity we get. We have a very saleable product here. We're all volunteers, but last year we had 800 visitors visit the centre. We done a vox pop there on that. About a third to almost a half stayed in the local area in Waterford and this area here. So between heritage groups, tourists, and we're looking at that diaspora as well. As we say, 4,500 at a peak in the 1700s or in the 1800s, and then, you know, they all went somewhere. So we're starting to reach out.
Well, the very best of luck with it. The place is looking absolutely beautiful, and we'll have to come back to you when it's Portlaw Heritage Village.
Thank you very much, Mary.
It's been a really pleasant day for us exploring this part of mid-Waterford, and I hope we've highlighted some hidden gems that you can take note of for your next visit to these parts. If you'd like to get some more information about Portlaw here, or Curraghmore, or the Curraghmore Mountains, we have it on our website, and that's where you'll find it. And really, if you come to these parts, you will not be disappointed.